presenting Greg Risberg. Humor with a message.
Okay, important question here. How many of you came from a family? And how many of you came from a family where there was lots of humor? How many of you came from a family where there was some humor, but not a whole lot? And who can join me on the other side of coming from a family with no humor? Can people change? I mean, I'm perfect proof. I want to show you my parents. Let me just show you my background. What's so funny about my parents? I look like my dad, yeah. Okay, how many of you look like your mother or father? It's called genetics. Who does not believe these are my parents? And why don't you, ma'am?
Because that's a very old picture.
It's a very old picture, and is it a famous picture?
Yes.
And you don't think my parents could be in a very famous old picture? Is that what you're saying? Okay, Miss Know-It-All. Let me just show you my college graduation photo.
Hi, my name is Greg Risberg, and I want to tell you that my audiences never, ever fall asleep, because it's impossible to fall asleep while you're laughing. I know I can make your audience laugh, but I want to do more than that. I want them to get a message, I want them to have a great time, and I want them to get some useful ideas to take home with them.
And how are you?
Good.
Didn't hear from everybody. How are you?
Excellent.
How many of you have ever been asked how you were and you lied? Would you raise your hand? If you didn't raise your hand, you just lied again. Yeah. What's the most common response to the question, how are you?
Fine.
How many of you have ever said you were fine but you weren't fine? How many of you lie to people all the time? Yeah. Why do we tell people we're fine if we're not fine? Do any of you know that FINE is an acronym?
Yes.
Can any of you think of an F word? It actually stands for frustrated. How many of you have ever felt frustrated? So you felt, what could the I stand for?
Irritated.
Right. How about the N?
Neurotic.
Neurotic. There you go. What could the E stand for? Any guesses?
Good. Right.
Did you say erotic? No, not erotic. Not erotic. Another E word. Some of you are feeling maybe right now. Exhausted, yeah. So if you've ever felt frustrated, irritated, neurotic, and exhausted, how have you felt?
Fine.
You felt fine, yeah.
Because it helps people learn, Greg uses humor in almost every topic he presents, from communication to coping with stress.
Ever compare yourself to somebody else? Ever come out even? Neither have I. More hair, more money, less money. Got the story from my dentist, a picture of a talking toothbrush. Toothbrush says, sometimes I feel I have the worst job in the world. His buddy says, yeah, right.
Do you know what Mark Twain said? He said a person without a sense of humor is like a car without shock absorbers. You feel every single bump in the road. And I feel that being able to laugh at yourself is half the battle. So what I do, I tell true, real stories about times when laughing at myself has really helped me.
How many of you know what pink ribbons mean in October? Breast Cancer Awareness Month. 10 years ago, I was giving a talk in Denver late at night, and I had walked in, and everybody had a pink ribbon on their uniform, and I asked, what's it about? And they said, you don't know? I said, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I said, well, would you like a ribbon? I said, yeah. And a woman put a pink ribbon on me, and I got up early because I had a 6:30 flight. And I drove to the airport when it was dark, and I'm half asleep, and I go up to the gate agent, and as out of it as I am, she's cheery and happy and positive. And I get a better seat. But before I can leave, she says, wait a minute. Tell me, what is your pink ribbon for? And I looked down at this pink ribbon, and I totally forgot what it meant. And in sort of a daze, and I said, what? And she thinks my what means I can't hear her. So she says, what is your pink ribbon for? And I heard her just fine the first time, but it gives me a little time. I said, it's Breast Awareness Month. And this cheery lady now looks puzzled. She says, what? And I think her what means she can't hear me. So I said, it's Breast Awareness Month. And she can hear me, and so can everybody else I'm going on this plane with. So if you can laugh at yourself, how much humor will you have in your life?
So yes, as you can see, Greg is funny. But he also has a message. He helps people think about what really matters in their lives.
I was just giving a great talk at McCormick Place, and we're driving to O'Hare at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And as you can imagine, the closer we got to O'Hare, the worse the traffic got, and people at the back seat are saying, well, what's after the 7 o'clock flight? Is there 8:30 I can get out? And I'm thinking the same thing, but the driver's doing this. He's calm, cool, and collected, and I realize I'm getting mad at the driver for being so collected. And I finally sent it and said, excuse me, can you tell me something? He says, yes, I want to know how come you're cool and calm and collected here rather than upset like I am. And he tells me he spent 4 years of his life in Vietnam. And 2.5 of those years was a prisoner in North Vietnam. And he told me some of the horrible things that happened to him as a prisoner. He says, you know what those years were? I said, no. He said, it starts with a T. What was the word? Terrible. Then he says to me, you know what this traffic is? And I said, no. He said, it starts with an I. You know what happened to my stress after I heard this lesson? It just about dissipated. So now, every time I get upset about something, I ask myself this question. Is it terrible or inconvenient? The next time you get upset about something, today or on the way home or later or tomorrow with the kids tonight, ask yourself, is it terrible or inconvenient?
My own philosophy about what really matters is in this quotation from Leo Ralston. He says, I cannot believe that the purpose of life is simply to be happy. I believe the purpose of life is to be useful, to be responsible, and to be compassionate. But it is above all to matter and to count and to stand for something and to have made some difference that you lived at all. Thank you so very much for watching this video. If you're looking for a great opener to set a positive tone for your entire meeting, or a terrific spouse program, or a wonderful closer to send your people home happy, I would just love to be your meeting partner.